Today is Saturday, November 2nd, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 47, Week 7.
I promise not to delete this one. We went to do our test. We recorded it. I said, that sounded good, and deleted it. But we hadn't actually listened to it.
He said, did we listen to that? And I went,
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, so... That's probably going to be a theme throughout the rest of this season. Things like that. Goofs. Sorry, that's just where we are. But we're excited to be back today to do a recap on this season and to check in with the Survivor suit. Not a recap. I even said that wrong. To do a listener feedback show. To check in with the other superfans and see what they're thinking about this season and more specifically this last episode.
Maybe we should just hear what they have to say.
Try not to do any off the top of my head. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, good stuff. Anything we need to do or say before we get started?
Let's hear from Pete.
There we go.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling you. Oh, my goodness. What a fantastic episode tonight. Ooh, fitting going into Halloween tomorrow. I'm going to let out a great big woo! Wow, I did not see any of that coming at all. And when all is said and done, I truly feel sorry for Tiana. I think she was maybe in a solid position with some of the women there. Although I know Caroline, Sue were on the fence with her, and clearly Gabe and even Kyle was too. She might have been in a solid alliance with some of those other women there if she had made it to that merge and survived. Well, she was in the merge, but survived tonight's 5-person vote, as it turned out, from her old team. But wow, and Rachel gets speared. Can you believe that? How about that twist? So you did have two separate teams competing, but it was basically the whole team had to last. Whoever was the last, and ended up being the team that had a split of the red and the yellow, and blue and Rachel was the losers. So Kyle was fortunate. He got immunity. But wow, Rachel, though, I mean, I really was worried for her. I mean, she offers a lot, and she got safe thanks to Saul. I mean, in a way, I'm glad Saul found it and not Andy, because Lord knows what Andy would have done. I doubt he would have saved Rachel. He may have given it to Tiana for all we know. Who knows how Andy's mind's working. But good for Saul to make a big play, beat Rachel, and they turned on Tiana there. So where does that leave everyone else? Well, what's going to be Andy's story now? Is it going to work out with him and Genevieve? And who else is going to? Are they going to be with Teenie and some of the other women that are around? I mean, on the blue team, I don't know. You know, it looks like Andy wants to turn on yellow there with against Sam, Sierra, Rachel. I'm curious to see how this pans out. And he's working with Saul, it looks like, too. That'll be so interesting if Andy can make it to the end with Genevieve. We shall see. He'll be back to 12 next week, though. But I don't know how much Andy could keep his mouth shut and not overplay to screw Genevieve. But I feel for Tiana. She didn't see it coming. She was heartbroken. And I got to hear in her interviews if she thought about playing a shot in the dark. My guess is no, because of the Rachel twist there of being speared. None of them saw aren't coming for sure, so they had to do a live tribal. What an awesome episode, guys. I truly enjoyed it. See if there's any extra clips as well, along with Tiana's interview. Take care. Woo.
Whoa. Thanks, Pete. Great to hear from you again. Pete was solid all while we were gone. He was calling in, giving listener feedback,
right.
even though we couldn't put a show out. So thanks for all that, Pete. We appreciate it. In her interviews, let's see, what all did she say? She said she didn't really think about the shot in the dark because they were kind of stunned when Rachel went out. So that wasn't anything that she had planned for. And she thought she had Caroline and Kyle to some degree, hence how shocked she was in her reaction. So she also said that Sue was having a really hard time and emotional a lot, crying a lot. She spent a lot of time with her trying to help, pump her up. She was missing her family and wasn't feeling good and just extremely tired and a lot of stuff there. So she definitely felt betrayed by them, even though she had put time in. And she said Kyle even told Sue and Caroline, look, Gabe is saying that he's controlling your votes, basically, that you're just following him, but they just wouldn't hear it. Especially Sue wouldn't hear anything at all about Gabe. So she's made up her mind. She's locked in. And that was, Tiana said that was really hard to deal with.
Yeah, and I think Caroline's locked into Sue. So more so than Gabe, but...
And Tiana did know that Rachel had something. She didn't know exactly what she had, I think, but she did know. And there's a secret scene or a deleted scene where the guys are talking about worrying about the Women's Alliance. And there was a deleted scene. I'll have it in the link in the show notes to it on EW.com where Rachel actually gets the advantage.
Oh, okay.
So you can see her initial reaction. And she had a choice. She had both that she could choose from. I thought Saul was going to pick one to give, but it looked like they were both there. And so she still had the option to either take someone's vote, which she considered a little bit, but then it's safety without power was just too tempting. Yeah.
She made the right choice, I think.
Yes, definitely. And Tiana's had a hard time dealing with that still. That's probably the cruelest elimination right before the jury, that everybody wants to make the jury to be part of the whole game and to come that close and then have it yanked away from you.
And to know that she didn't go into tribal as the vote.
Right. They were going to go ahead and vote Rachel out.
Unanimously. Yeah. And then it got flipped on its head.
Yep.
By a survivor twist.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks again, Pete. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Ed in Milwaukee.
Joanne and Stacy, when you announced several weeks ago that you would not be able to podcast for a couple of weeks, I feared that it was a medical issue. Therefore, I was relieved when you announced that you were moving cross country.
It felt almost like a medical issue at times.
Still does. I thought that you would be back last week, and as such, I was preparing to comment on the fall of Rome.
Oh, my goodness.
But in the 26-day game of Survivor, the fall of Rome occurred centuries ago. Needless to say, I am happy that he is gone, and that it was, in all, practically a unanimous vote. Everyone wanted him gone, but a couple of votes were placed on others for strategic reasons. I do applaud Rome for being a good sport about his departure and for reminding us that this is only a game. Moving on, I can't figure out where this season is headed. Every person left in the game is competent, but I cannot identify anyone that is head and shoulders better than the rest of the cast, and I'm at a loss as to what strategies and alliances will win. I guess that I will have to keep watching to find out who will win. At this point, I do not see how finding the advantage will help Saul. It is my guess that when production thought of this twist, they thought that the person who found it would give it to an ally and former tribe mate who got stuck on the losing team. But all of Saul's former tribe mates were on the winning team. Therefore, he had to give it to someone that he did not have a working relationship with. This week's tribal left me with one question. Did Rachel have to identify that someone from the other team gave her the advantage, or could she have said, I just found the advantage? If so, she might be able to take credit for finding an idol. Joanne and Stacy, it is good to hear your voices again. Well, thank you, Ed. And it's good to hear from you as well. Up next, we've got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. Before I get into my feedback, I just want to say how excited I was to see the recap drop this week, and it was really great to hear your voices once again. Survivor just isn't the same without you guys. And it's been interesting since we all last talked. A lot has happened on this season. We've seen some players come out of their shell like Genevieve and become a really game player in the game, and we've seen other players like Saul finally be able to play the actual game of Survivor with Rome gone. And I've been really enjoying Saul. I really like him as a person, and I think he's really fun to watch. And I was really excited this week that he really made good use of his advantage to have an effect on the game. And I'm curious how well he'll be able to keep that a secret, or if everyone will figure it out. And if that move isn't an alliance-creating move with Rachel, then I don't know what is. So I'm really excited to see where that goes for Saul. As far as the episode, I guess I should have known that Jeff would split them into smaller tribes. He loves smaller tribes and rock draws. He really doesn't like people being merged when they finally do merge. But at least this week, it's interesting. I lost my USB, which kind of stinks. But much like last season, and I think it's kind of a trend for me, I always predict the episode that my USB is going, and that happened this episode. So I had Tiana as my vote off, even though she was my USB. So I lost the USB, but at least I got a vote off point on her, so it helps soothe the pain of that a little bit. For my new USB, I'm not sure who I'm going to go with. I think Caroline's a very crafty player. I liked her analysis when it came around to the idea of getting rid of Gabe. She understands the notion of keeping bigger threats around and playing a bit under the radar, but I also think that she's shown herself to be a little bit strategic in some of her comments that she's made, and I think some other people are onto her, so I think she needs to get rid of some of those bigger threats if she wants to stick around. I think a lot of people are going to go with Teeny. I think that is, of course, another good pick as well. Beyond those two, I'm not sure. None are sticking out to me as great options, so I maybe am leaning towards one of those two. For next week, for my vote out, I think Andy's number might finally be up. They've been showcasing him a lot, of course, and I think as soon he's going to start ruffling some feathers this week, and he's going to paint himself as a brighter target than he already is if he tries to make a move. So I think this might be the point where everyone settles on, yeah, let's get rid of Andy. So that's my prediction for now, but I look forward to hearing everyone else's predictions, and it's great to hear from everyone. All right, you guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. Good job. Some great insights. I wonder if it will break that way. You know, Tiana was really worried that they're going to come after the
Blue Tribe?
The Tukus, yeah, because they stuck together or had planned to stick together and only got rid of one of their own when they were forced to. So I wonder if that might still be in effect.
Could be. There are those. Somebody mentioned it in the next on. Let's get the Tukus.
Right. And then, well, like Robert was just saying, you got Sloppy Andy, who might shine the light on himself too brightly and be an easy vote. But I think everybody probably still thinks of him as being a sloppy player and not a threat. So that in the 40s, in the new seasons here, that seems to be a pass for you.
Well, and I kind of think Genevieve and Saul would like to work with Andy, and they do need some numbers.
They need numbers, for sure, yeah.
So I don't think they would vote for him. I don't know that Teeny's with them, so I'm not sure where Teeny wants to go.
Yeah, not
for sure.
Don't know where what's going to bring things together. Will it be the Lavos or will it be another second pass at a women's alliance they'll bring enough together to get the majority? Somehow they got to get a majority going.
Yeah, I put Andy going last week. I thought he could go, but I don't know. I'm kind of looking at Sam this week just because Andy really wants to go after him, I think. Mm-hmm. Because Saul said he's the one that threw his name out there.
Right.
But I just don't know who will go along with him or who really trust him enough to do that. Caroline, he was talking to Caroline in the next on, but, she's so caught up with sticking with Sue and Gabe that could hurt her in the end.
And she's dangerous because she hides all that really well.
Yes, she does. And she goes along and she tells them what they want to hear. But
Tiana said that happened every time. Sue and Caroline ran right back to Gabe and told him everything that was ever said.
Yep. Well, hello.
Good stuff. Thanks again, Robert. Next up, we got an email from Tara in New York. Welcome back, Joanne and Stacy. I hope you're finally having an easier time now settling into your new home. I was so excited to find a new podcast in my feed this week, and I've missed hearing from everyone. I continue to really love this cast as a whole, and this episode had me hooked at the start. Andy's journey has been fascinating to me. I think I mentioned in my first feedback this season that I was hoping he would have a redemption arc, and it seems that we may be starting to see it. I think he does have a strategic mind. The big question will be if he can finally use it without getting sloppy. When he found out that Sam betrayed him, he didn't have a meltdown. He immediately started looking for a new alliance and a new start. The night beach scene culminating with Genevieve finally showing up in the morning was fascinating. Genevieve is smooth, and I think she might be able to balance out his messiness. If she could handle Rome, Andy would be a piece of cake. I like that. That's a good point. I would love to see them team up with Saul and Teeny, my USB, along with maybe Rachel and Kyle. It sounds like a fun group of misfits that could be similar to last season's Charlie, Kenzie, Ben, and Liz alliance at the end. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I like that. That's interesting. The episode went downhill for me once we hit the challenge, though. I've been waiting to watch them all together strategizing and hope to see how it would all shake out. Yeah, I think a lot of us were hoping they wouldn't do this again, but they did. Last week, I was thrilled to finally see a more traditional merge, but Rome was an easy, agreeable vote for everyone, so we didn't really see much strategizing. It would have been so exciting to see them all eligible for vote out this week. But by tribal council, it just looked like a pre-merge episode again, and only 4 people were eligible to go. Ugh. It also didn't help that I'm not all that invested in most of the Tuku players. How I wish Jeff would stop this dumb twist and let them play at the merge. I did laugh at Gabe's look to camera while hugging Rachel, though, and I really want the recipe for that reward potato salad, too. Hopefully next week we'll finally get to the really good stuff. I'm so excited for the auction, too. In JSFL, I think I've literally been 1 week early with my vote-out picks all season. So if the trend continues, Sam will go, but I really have no clue. I've really missed hearing from all of you and can't wait for everyone's feedback this week. As always, thank you so much, Joanne and Stacy. I really hope you love your new home and finally get some rest. I appreciate all of you so much. Happy, hopefully, real merge week, everyone. Thanks, Tara. Yeah, I hope we don't break back out into small groups anymore for the rest of the season. Let's let the players play, as Parker likes to say. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California with my feedback for a week, whatever it is. You have been so missed. It's just not the same when I don't hear you recapping the show. Left to my own devices of just watching it, it's just not the same. I'm so glad you arrived safely and you're basically moved into your new place. This was a heart-wrenching episode for poor little Becky. Her USB got voted out, and I think I might have cried as much as Tiana did. It was so sad. I thought she was going to go so far. And she's from Oahu, so I had that, I want the girl from Oahu to win connection going. But now I must choose a new USB, and who shall I choose? Question mark. I love all the twists in this episode, though. At the very last second, here you can have safety without power and just skip on out of tribal council. That was so great because Rachel was going home and I had her chosen as my vote out, so I didn't even mind. I loved the twist so much I didn't even mind that Rachel got to leave, lost the vote out point, and my USB got voted off and I lost the save point. I was like, but it was so good. And I loved that they split them up into teams, and then one whole team won immunity, and then the one person on the other team won immunity. I thought it was really cool. I like the way they're kind of messing with the contestants. It totally reminds me of Hunger Games, except they don't actually kill each other. They just vote each other off. Loving the season. Now, who will get voted off next? That's a very, very big question mark for me. It seems like Gabe, Caroline, and what's the old lady with all the plastic surgery? I can't remember her name right now. It's Sue. It seems like they are all in lockstep. It seems like Sam and Sierra, very, very good. Genevieve, she's really amazing. Rachel has a lot of friends. Wonder about Andy, but is he just the goatiest goat of all time? I don't know. I am not sure who's going next. I guess I would love to figure it out so I could get a first-on jury pick and have better points next week than this week. Yeah, I think that's about all I got. I'm going to take my ride in Napa tomorrow. I had 4 crazy months of extreme COVID fatigue from my month-long COVID infection in June, and I'm just getting back into regular biking. And thank God I'm not waking up every day going, I feel awful, because that was way too long. It's not just a cold. Okay, bye, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy. I'm so glad you're back and you moved safe.
Thanks, Rebecca. I enjoyed all that. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
Hello, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. I hope your move went well, and so welcome back. I know the podcast was on hiatus for quite some time, and I have been lacking a lot on getting my feedback in on the Facebook group when the podcast was not happening, but I have enjoyed this season so far. I won't say it is a standout season for me, unfortunately, but it did have some fun moments so far. I was glad to see Rome's downfall 2 weeks ago, but it was a nice way for him to go, doing the recap of his episode and having Jeff let him have his moment in his space before saying goodbye to him. As for this most recent episode, I feel like Andy has gone a long way since the first episode, and he's making some good moves by allying himself with Genevieve. How long will that last is hard to say, but so far I think it will work in his favor. I would really enjoy seeing another powerful all-female alliance at some point, but I don't think this season will have it. I do like how they reference the past powerful ones, though. As for the challenge this episode, I know I would struggle with it since I don't think my strength would be able to hold on to it for that long. I also like some of the twists that are being done this season, but when you are at the merge, it should be all individual challenges.
Yes.
And not separated like it was 2 episodes in a row, especially when half the tribe is safe and can't vote for the night. If it wasn't for Saul, his advantage that he gave Rachel, that let her leave tribal council, I have no doubt that she would have been the one who left. I do feel for Tiana and how she was kind of blindsided with how she went out. I'm not sure who I'm going to cheer for now, but it may be Saul or Teeny. I do like the acting that Saul put on at Tribal, acting like he was shocked and surprised about the advantage. I don't know what the auction will have in store next week, but it should be a good one. All right, thanks, Jack. I agree with that. Up next, we have a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh, and welcome back. You have been greatly missed, not just by me, but by my dog Cooper. I usually listen to your podcast the day after Survivor, and that means he gets a longer walk that day. We're walking in the morning listening to you, and he likes to meander around. Every tree has a story. He has to sniff out each one. But for the past couple weeks, I've been walking him and I'm going, okay, Cooper, come on, let's go. Hurry up. Come on, Cooper, let's go. So needless to say, he'll be glad you're podcasting again, as am I. Although I wasn't sure. It sounded like maybe it's not going to be coming out as early as it was before. I wasn't sure. I don't like change, guys, but I'll try to adjust to it. It's Thursday afternoon, Halloween, and I'm trying to record this between trick-or-treaters, which is not as difficult as I thought it would be. trick-or-treating's from 5 to 7. It's now 5:45, and not one kid has been walking up our flight of stairs for candy. This has not been a fun season of Survivor for me up until now. John was my USB. He was voted out in the first episode, and I was really irritated at that, especially at Andy. But now that I'm seeing Andy kind of realizing where he stands on his God tribe, it looks like the chaotic Andy's coming out, and I can't wait to see what happens. I want to see the fall of Gada, and so I'm watching carefully. One of the reasons that it also hasn't been that great for me is because without you podcasting, I don't rewatch Survivor. Usually I watch it, then the next day I rewatch it and take notes. The reason I'm recording this Thursday evening and not rewatching the episode is because we're leaving for D.C. tomorrow. We won't be back until Monday night. So this is about the only time I think I'll be able to record this. With this last episode, once Rebecca was safe, I knew there wouldn't be any way that Tiana was going to get out of this. Sue, Carolyn, and Gabe are too strong and united, and Kyle would have been foolish not to go along with them. I'm really interested to see what Saul does. Will he tell Rebecca and gain an ally or not? And he played it really well last night. It's now 6:20. Brian's sitting at the bottom of the stairs, so he's giving out candy to about 50 kids. It's warm in the high 70s. He says the costumes are colorful. I don't know. I'm up in my study recording this. The only thing I have to decide now is what we're going to have for dinner. What goes better with Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Cabernet or Chardonnay? Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, David. I have no idea what the answer to that.
Me neither.
I don't know wine at all.
Just more chocolate.
Yeah. Good deal. Next up, we got a call from Anderson.
Hey, Joanna, Stacey, it's Anderson from North Carolina calling with my feedback for week 7. You guys are back. Just wanted to know, where are you guys moving from, wherever you were before? And my thoughts on the episode, I don't know where I stand in the side challenge right now, because I've been doing JSFL, I just haven't been doing that well. I don't know if I lost the safety this week or not, but I thought I was tied with Stacy, and I hope I'm not in the basement. My thoughts, Sam should look out for Andy. Really. And it wasn't really Sam who brought Andy's name up. It was Sue. She said, why don't we get Andy out? And she looked at Sam and Sierra, and Sierra was, yeah, and Sam was, sure, if it's Andy. So I'm listening to your recap right now. So until next time, bye.
Thanks, Anderson. We lived in Northern California, just east of Sacramento. So it's kind of in that greater metropolitan area of 1.2, 1.3 million people there.
And now we're in South Georgia.
It's vastly different. Oh, good
Well,
stuff.
I'm from here, but I haven't been from here in a long time. So it is very different and in every way.
Yep. And you are not with me in the basement. You're ahead of me in JSFL. Like it was Parker and me in the basement this week, right?
I believe it was,
Yeah.
yes.
Good deal. Thanks, Anderson. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, as the clock neared midnight on Halloween, I received a trick and a treat. The treat was having your recap appear in my queue. The trick was trying to write this stuff in one less day. Seriously, though, it's good to have you back. Facebook's a poor substitute for hearing everyone. Here are my other observations. Teeny said Rome was a thorn in her side. Well, Rome is one letter away from Rose. Okay, all right. Alphabet math. Andy wanted to know why on God's green earth he had been the backup vote. Now he wants to play a scorched earth game against Gada. The mythical Girls Alliance. Do they turn men to stone when they make eye contact? Sam gave up Andy. Maybe it was Lent. Pickleball and chilling should never appear in the same sentence. I've got a great name for the Andy Genevieve Saul Alliance. The Island's Misfit Toys. It does seem to be trending that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Only on Survivor can third place be considered winning. Andy's Sam Sierra Saul montage was straight out of a TV whodunit. The challenge looked like a dozen people putting individual pizzas into pizzeria ovens. It does kind of look like those things they use to scoop them in and out of the big ovens, doesn't it? Genevieve sounded like Oprah. Andy has an agenda. I have an agenda. There's got to be a way to make random be more random. I think a lot of people are thinking that. Andy didn't know Genevieve. That's what happens when you're purple. I was glad that the winners didn't vote too, unlike some prior seasons. Add cornhole to the food reward and you've got a proper backyard cookout. I was yelling at my TV while Saul played Where's Waldo with his advantage search. Tiana got her wish, only 4 tuku went back to camp.
Ouch.
Yeah. Who needs to be sneaky when your team is in a food coma? In past seasons, we've had crotch idols. Saul just invented the butt advantage. Oh, that's good. The butt advantage. Tiana wanted to get tribal over with. Be careful what you ask for. While the rest of his team played stickball, Saul hit a major league home run. Kyle's fascinated with Rachel's little wiggle. He'll have some splaining to do at home. Tiana, I think I missed something. We got to go back and watch the episode there. Tiana said that making the jury is all important. The survivor gods can be cruel. Rachel's spot on that you need to survive in this tribal before worrying about future ones. Medical salesman Saul plays dumb well. He's looking a bit like Gabler 2.0. He did have some Gabler vibe happening, that's true. Gabe said Rachel needs someone to grab her hand as she drowns. He gave her more water. Tuku versus Tuku wasn't much of a fight. Rachel's safety without power was misnamed. She had the power to get a Tuku out. Why does Jeff always keep victims busy while the others whisper and strategize? Kyle said Tiana was honest. I guess there's no place for that on Survivor. Gabe wanted to rewind time. Repeat after me. No more hourglasses. The way Tiana dropped her torch, I feared that Jeff really would be on fire. Next time, the Survivor auction, an endurance challenge, and they won't see Andy coming. Is he turning purple? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all that you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Welcome back, everybody. Stay safe. Thanks, Josh. Great job, man. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, Survivor friends. Jeremiah here with some feedback for this week's episode. Let me just start off by saying I'm so happy to hear your voices once again. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's going to mention this week, but Survivor is just not the same without hearing your voices and thoughts about an episode. I'm just glad that everything went okay and you guys are safe and sound in your new pad, and I just hope everything goes smoothly from here out. As for the episode, I thought it was fantastic and brutal too. Oh my gosh, watching Tiana get voted out like that. Oh, that girl was so upset. I feel her pain. But, you know, if you think about it, the way it was going, it looked like Rachel was going to be going home, and that would have been just as brutal considering that she really got screwed in that swap. That was horrible for her. You know I keep saying this throughout the news era, but this whole notion of, you know, we have the mergatory stuff, and then we have to split them up again. I mean, this obsession that Jeff has with voting with small tribes, which he's mentioned on his podcast about it just drives me crazy. It's like, well, what do we do the mergatory for if you're just going to split them up again? I don't know. But anyway, of course, I know it's not always going to end up so lopsided when you go ahead and do this, but holy cow, that was just terrible. But yeah, really good episode. This has been a really fantastic season so far. I'm enjoying it, but I have to admit, trying to figure out who is going to win at this point is really difficult. I pretty much can make an argument for a lot of the people that are left. And since we're at the point of the game where a lot of us who need a USB and some of us who are thinking about switching up their USB, this is an important question for everyone. Now, when you look at the way things are broken up at the moment, obviously our original blue tribe, Tuku, really has a strong hold with the number of players, but you would assume that they are definitely going to be targets from here out. Then we have a few players left from the red and yellow tribes. With blue and yellow, you really have these very strong personality, big-time game players like Sam and Gabe, who are clearly going to be huge targets. And even though it'd be very exciting to see that type of architect player win, I just don't see it happening. I think our winner's going to be someone that comes through the middle somehow. I'm looking at probably someone from Red, the Olavo tribe. To me, Genevieve and Saul and Teeny are really in a good spot, and I think one of those two is going to win. Right now, I'm leaning towards Teeny as my new USB. And as far as who I think is going to go home, obviously they might be targeting Sierra and Sam, which is a very big possibility, or maybe they'll go after like a Gabe or something like that from the former Blue Tribe. Right now, I think I'm leaning towards Sierra being our person to go out next week. All right, well, that's it for me. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, though I was leaning more towards Sam, but I don't know why. Other than just that Andy would have a reason to target him.
Yeah, but often it's the other person that didn't stand out as much, but is allied.
Well, if he
with that
wins
person.
immunity, too.
Yeah.
He could win immunity, and
Possible.
they could go after her because they couldn't get him.
Right.
But they could also continue to go after Rachel, or who knows how they're going to match up. But it looks like Andy is not going to stay solid with his old tribe.
With Gata, yeah. Definitely
So
not, given what he was saying.
Yeah, I just don't know who will trust him. Genevieve.
Good stuff. Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here, and well, this is going to be a quick one because I've been a little bit under the weather and it's taken me until Friday, this afternoon, to see the latest episode. But I certainly didn't want to miss this podcast because we're all back together. All the voices and names here are a part of my weekly Survivor ritual. So I will say that I'm happy that we're not overloading on idols and advantages, and I'm honestly enjoying the new twists that have been popping up, especially in this episode. That said, the Andy-Genevieve alliance seems more like a shot in the dark to me. But let's face it, it's far better than sitting back and letting everyone else's game play all over you. I just don't see how it can really pan out. But I think that my previous thoughts that Andy would be Sam's demise are going to come true. Sam just trusts Andy too much, and that will be his likely downfall. And I think Kyle may have to do some sorting out here, and he's going to have to make some hard decisions about what's going to be best for his game. Honestly, though, I'm not a huge Kyle fan, so I'm sort of expecting him to screw it up somehow. I mean, Tiana had to spell it out to him why voting Gabe out would be a good idea. And I'm thrilled that Saul landed on his feet after the entire Rome ordeal. And I'm more than happy that he has made a major impact on the game, even though no one knows it. I also hope that he doesn't say anything to Rachel. This is something that you pull out of your hat at a specific time and place, and now is just not that time or place. As for Tiana's exit, yeah, I felt sorry for her. I mean, who wouldn't? She was really hurt, and I think that Caroline stepped up to the plate more in this episode. Or dare I say finally? So I think I'm going to keep her as my USB, but I won't be surprised if she loses. I just don't know who else to pick at this point. Next to go? Well, I just don't know. I've been making my safe picks almost solely by the number of times I've picked players, and I've yet to gain a vote-off point. At least the season isn't predictable to me, which, in all honesty, it never is, so I'm not sure what the point is here I'm trying to make. And with that, I'm going to say, welcome back, Joanne and Stacy. You have been missed, but the constant listeners here all knew that you'd be back. Thank you, and later. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
I hope this passes soon, Paul, and everything's back to normal. Get some rest. And thanks for all your help keeping the website up. We appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely. So you need a majority of 6. This one's interesting because it can give players like my USB Kyle an opportunity to make a new connection or, to break bonds with Tuku. So you could, each group of 4 could potentially add 2 and take control. That doesn't seem as likely, I don't think. It's natural to think that. That's just easy tribe math.
Well, I would think Kyle now knows that he either votes with them or he's on the outs with Chuku because those 3 are seeming way too solid right now for him to go against it unless he can form another complete alliance.
He needs to be part of a bigger alliance that'll give him some cover because the heat's on him because he's won 2 individual immunities. There's no denying that. It's natural to consider him as a vote out to get rid of that threat. It doesn't happen as much that the challenge winners get targeted in the the new seasons here in the 40s like they used to.
So would you like to see the old Lavo, Genevieve, Saul, and Teeny bring in Andy and Kyle?
Sure. Yeah.
And
that's
who
fine.
else?
Well, I think it's
Rachel?
Yeah, I think Rachel's a possibility. You don't want to mess with those three in Tuku. Gabe, I don't think is going anywhere because I absolutely believe Sue would play an idol to protect him. Given what Tiana was saying about how blind Sue was for hearing anything bad against Gabe. So
She just won't believe it. She just thinks, oh, they're after him. I'm not going to even hear it.
Right.
Even if no matter what they say that he says about me or blah, blah, not going to believe anything they say.
I'm thinking she's probably prepared to play an idol for him because he was so important to her early on and given Tiana's description of what that relationship's like. So I think he's got some cover. I don't know that he's going to go immediately. So you may fire a shot at him and they might still get to decide who goes, the old Tukus.
I don't know. I could see her hang on to it for herself, too. So
Maybe.
But
nobody's thinking about her as a threat, though. And the story about her isn't going to be as a threat. Tiana said she didn't tell anyone about Sue's idol, and we know Caroline hasn't, so it's a secret as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
Unless she chooses to tell someone else, and she doesn't seem to be in that frame of mind.
Well, I am going to stay with Caroline, I think, even though I really am not sure that she could win. I like her. I think she is a strategic player, but she's just so locked in. And I don't think that's necessarily going to serve her in the long run.
That's a lot of cover with Gabe and potentially with Sue, too, for her. So she's got that going for her.
Break loose.
She needs to be actively working and making some more connections outside of Tuku. And it sounded like the women were doing a little bit of that, but obviously the first two targets were women. So how far was the Women's Alliance really going there?
It was never going anywhere.
Caroline just proved that she wasn't in, same as Sue.
Yep. Well, and I don't know how Kyle can trust anything that Carolyn says now because, she was so locked in to protecting Sue and Gabe and getting rid of Tiana. No matter what he wanted, obviously he tried to talk to her, or she tried to talk to him. They were conversing quite a bit at Tribal Council. So I just don't know how that's going to go for her. But it is a 24-point USB, and I just am having trouble letting that go. So,
I think
and
there's
don't
some
know who
darkness
else
to her game too.
Yeah.
So I think she's doing some really good deceptions on people and that she's actively choosing to do that. I don't think it's just a byproduct of something.
Right.
So I think she's got a lot going for her. I could totally see hanging on to her.
Yeah, I would be happy for her as a winner. I would be happy as Kyle. I really like Kyle.
Yeah.
And I like Saul. I would be happy to see either one of them win.
What about Teeny? She could come on strong here. She could just kind of bob and weave because I don't know if people are thinking of her as a target. Genevieve is going to seem like a bigger target than Teeny. Teeny gets to hide a lot.
She wouldn't be my first choice as a winner, but I could see that she could pull it out. I don't think Sierra or Sam could.
I don't think they're going to make it, yeah. Since
Andy,
everyone had focused on them so early on and thought of them as a couple.
Yeah,
and
they
even
already had that against them.
Yeah, so that they're carrying that baggage right now in the context of the game. So.
And I think Rachel's a great player, and so I would like to see her maneuver her way back around if she can, but I think she was so visually out there as a target, get rid of her, that I don't know if she recovers from that or not.
That would be a great point to have a conversation with Andy. Hey, you were the backup plan, and they just tried to get me too. Fortunately, we're both still here.
And Saul saved us. Let's go over there.
Well, she doesn't know that, but...
Well, she will.
You think so? You think he's going to let it be known?
I think he's going to tell her. I do. Why wouldn't he? why wouldn't they try to get numbers? And if they could pull over Andy and Rachel,
That's
well,
5.
that's
Pick up
5.
Kyle.
Pick
Now
up
you're
Kyle.
controlling it.
That's right. And why wouldn't Kyle go? That, he has a better chance going in with those 5 than he does in his original alliance.
Yeah,
Because
would
those
seem so.
3 are going to vote him out before they vote each other.
Yeah, it's a big gamble, but yeah,
It
he's
is, but what other choice is he really going to have?
he's got to be feeling that at that point, right?
Yes,
that
I
I'm
think so. After they took Tiana.
Yeah, I'm clearly next in that regard. So,
But I would kind of like to switch, but not since she's a good player and she's still in the game. I feel like I really.
and like Jeremiah was
play
talking
that
about,
out.
she's in the middle.
Yeah.
I think it's the top of the middle, but she's in because she was Tuku, but she's got that middle vibe. So players like her stand the greatest chance. She's at the right age, the right life experience to be able to pull something like that off. But
Not
there's
only
a lot.
that, she is open to conversing with a lot of different people and hearing what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she ultimately decides to go with them or not, she listens to them. And that
She was fumbling
makes
that
it
early on, though. Hopefully,
Yeah.
she's gotten that tightened up
better
a little.
now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think with Kyle maybe, but maybe outside her original alliance. But we will see how it plays out. Let's see. You're keeping Kyle, right?
I am going to go ahead and hold on to him, even though I know he's a big target right now for winning.
I would keep
I
him.
think there's a scramble, and like Tiana said in her exit interviews, he's so chill. She's just liked being around him,
Yeah.
and that's just a fantastic quality to have. Sometimes it gets highlighted as a reason to get you voted out.
People have won for nothing more.
Yeah, for sure. Gabe's not done, even though if he gets targeted, I think he's found idols, so he knows somewhat what to look for. B, he's got Sue, who I do believe would play an idol for him to protect their alliance. And he's got people feeding him information.
Yeah.
It's easy to cheer against him because he is an authentic villain in the context of the game.
Yes.
He's using people, he's making these moves, and he's strategic. And
That's
there's
right.
so
He's
many of these
playing the
things.
game.
Yes, so many of these things are breaking his way. If you had to score everyone for how well they're playing, I think he's probably playing the best game out of everyone left right now.
Well, and he came in with that strategy, and the older woman,
Execute.
There was
Execute.
Sue.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he knew what she needed, and he gave it to her.
And it's paid a multitude of dividends.
Huge dividends.
Yeah.
Huge.
He's getting interest checks every game cycle on
Yeah,
that.
you bet. At least so far.
Yeah.
Unless she actually heard him say something, and then he'd convince her probably that, I was just saying that just so they wouldn't, blah, blah.
Yeah. What else would you expect me to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How else could I throw them off our trail?
Right.
That we're so close. We don't want people to know how close we are.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch and see how he survives, if he's able to survive.
And from what you said Tiana was saying, Sue is kind of a mess out there. She's missing her family. And obviously, even though she's done fantastic, I think, in challenges, she's really stood out. But I think it's taken a real toll on her at her age.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you just don't have the same kind of stamina that you had.
The ability to rebound for your cells to rebuild that quickly. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this was really what I was hoping for in our listener feedback show and looking forward to. So it's great to be back with everyone. We clearly have something special here at this podcast, at Survivor Fans Podcast. It was great to hear from all of you. Look forward to hearing your analysis.
Yes, we missed you too.
Yes, absolutely, in the weeks to come. So thanks to everybody who took the time to share your thoughts and predictions with us this week. We enjoyed it. We appreciate hearing from all of you and understand the level of effort that's required to pull that off. We also want to send a big thanks out to Christy, Erica, Hazel, Hope, Kim, and Tara for your subscription donations. Thank you so much for helping with that. Those support costs just keep coming in every month. Got one yesterday. Got another bill for the hosting there. So all those donations help tremendously. Thank you so much.
Now, if you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 8 picks for one person voted off and 4 people who are still safe at the end of the next episode.
Yeah, so there's going to be a first on jury bonus with this next vote out, too. It'll be worth 2 points.
That's right.
And talking about JSFL, this is the only opportunity you get during the season to change your USB. That stands for Ultimate Survivor Bonus. If your choice wins this season. If your USB has left the game, you can choose someone new for a possible 5 bonus points. If your USB is still in the game, but you don't want to stay with them, you can change your USB, but it will only be for a possible 10-point bonus if they win. Be sure you want to change before you do it, because if you choose to change and then go back, then you will have lost those 14 points. So the most you can get is 10 if you do that. You don't want to mess around and forfeit that. Just to add an extra level of difficulty to your decision process. You can also do nothing and stay with your original choice for that possible 24-point bonus at the end if they win.
And I don't usually get the first vote off, and I don't usually get the extra point for the first on jury, but I really would like to this week. So could we send Sam home? Because I think that's who I'm going to choose.
Yeah, okay.
You have anything else you want to?
I'm looking forward to this next episode. Remain excited for this season. Somehow we seem to have gotten a really good group that are playing, and I've been sad some of these folks are gone, but I look forward to seeing how these 11 do in the second half of the game. So,
absolutely.
We're not seeing these blunder after blunder after blunder like we did last season that make me think these people have no idea how to play the game. I'm thinking these people know how to play the game. Yeah, there's been some interesting oddball artifacts with how some people like Sloppy Andy have played, but
he's playing.
Yeah, he's definitely...
He is strategizing. He is staying calmer. I mean, I expected him to explode. Yeah, what we're shown. That's true. I expected him to explode when Saul told him that Sam was the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't...
But they didn't show it if he did.
Yeah, there. I think that's the best way to frame it. I'm looking forward to Wednesday with our next recap. Have a good one.